Hey guys, hope you're well. And in this video, I will be sharing a beautiful SP manifestation success story with you. So, this comes with a client that I was just recently talking to, and we were talking after she has received her full success. We have been working together for a pretty long time, and we started working from her general self concept, then her relationship topics, then now we are working on her money and her career. All of these things are on a daily basis getting better, but this success story takes the cake. This is a beautiful success story because this relationship had it all. It had hot and cold behavior, it had a very painful breakup, it had self concept work, specific work, and everything. So I will be talking about this success story step by step. And if you are someone who is stuck in a similar circumstance, then you can learn something from this video because I will go into great detail. And if you are stuck in a similar circumstance, you can start applying those things in your life, and you can start seeing the results of those things in your life too. So let's get into this video. Let's understand everything in detail, and we will start by understanding what her situation was at the start. So this girl, my client, she was in a very big and a very beautiful relationship with this guy. This relationship started very well. They started dating, it started turning into a relationship, and it started getting serious. And usually, this is the time where our insecurities start to flare up the most. This girl has had a history of relationships where she was left, she was cheated on, and she did not feel confident about her body, right? And because of which, eventually, she started sabotaging her relationship. A beautiful relationship going forward started going downhill. She constantly kept projecting her insecurities onto the other person. At the start, this guy, he started taking it, but eventually it wasn't his responsibility to fully take it, right? So he started rejecting it and he started bursting out. This resulted into both of them regularly fighting. She didn't have any tools to deal with disagreements at that time. She did not know the concept of boundaries, as it was the case in her previous relationships too. So, what that led to is that they weren't able to work on these issues, and eventually there was another guy involved, which who wasn't actually involved there, but the SP in this situation assumed that this guy was involved because this girl was constantly saying that, you know what, people cheat in relationships. She planted this seed in his mind, and when he saw her talking to this guy, he thought that this girl is cheating on him and everything, and his trust issues also started to come out, and they ended up breaking up when in fact nothing was happening. There was no issues, right? Now, as the breakup happened, both of these people were actually in a deep trouble. This guy's insecurities had also started to come up, and this my client's her insecurities had also started to come up. This is when we first started working together. So when we first started, we just primarily focused on self concept work, which was a very good decision that she took. When she came to me, the first thing she told me is that, Karan, I'm not instantly looking to get back into this relationship with this person. I'm actually first focused on getting better with my patterns, because I have severe patterns that have not just carried on till now. I am 32. It has been carrying on for 32 years of my life, and I don't want these patterns to guide my life ever again. I don't want that these patterns become a part and parcel of my life, and that whenever I get into a relationship that I end up sabotaging it just because I'm not able to deal with my past. So the first thing I want to work on is this, right? So if we have to talk about this girl, let's understand a little bit more about her past and her story. So she comes from a family background where her father was not a very masculine figure. When I say he was not a very masculine figure, I mean it in a way where he wasn't able to take charge of his family, and he wasn't in control of his own emotions. He kept projecting his emotions onto his children, and his wife, and he was never able to take responsibility of his own life. What he also started doing was that he started creating these situations where there was a lot of volatility in her house. She saw her parents fighting because both of them were not actually good at emotional regulation. And not even me, not even her, we don't blame him, right? He did what he could with the best tools that he had at his disposal. But what it did for my client, and this is just to understand her situation, is she developed severe father wounds. What that means is, As she became the major earning member in her family, she started to play the fatherly role. This started at a very early age when she was the provider, the sole provider in her family, and she had to take control of each and everything. But not only for the finances, but also for the emotional situations. She had to take care of her mom, she had to take care of her father, she had to take care of her siblings. And this situation kept on going till when she was older and she had to grow up very young. She became this parental figure who did not know what to deal with her emotions, because all she had learned throughout her life was that her emotions are not that valid, right? So she never had to actually talk about these emotions with anyone. So when it came to the specific person, it just instantly came out, right? Because there were a lot of emotions and she did not have any tools to deal with it because she never dealt with them before. Another thing that happened is that she was desperately craving for some sort of security and support. So whenever a guy would come into her life and this guy would give her any sort of security, she would let go of any other wrong behaviors that they were doing. So if a guy would come and cheat on her, but he was there present and who would apologize to her, she would ignore the cheating. She would let go of any breadcrumbs because she was getting this security and support, which she had lacked her whole life, right? As this came into this relationship, she started parenting her SP. She was in a position where this guy came to her with things where he was just looking for some support, but she started constantly giving him advice. She started telling him, this is what you should do, this is how you should go for it. And it wasn't like advice in a good way where she was just trying to be there. She was giving advice from this mental space that I know better. Why did that happen? Because she always through her life had to know better. She in her whole life had to be the person who had to take care of all these things. So of course this pattern kept going forward in her relationships, right? And another thing that happened is that the past few experiences where she was left, cheated on, and all these things were happening, she also learned that she cannot trust men. She couldn't trust her father, she couldn't trust the past guys because they end up leaving her or they end up cheating on her. So she couldn't trust this guy. So whenever there were some emotions that were coming up, she tried to either project all of them onto this person because she wasn't able to deal with them, or she tried to mold this guy into what she thought the perfect guy should look like. Not because it was her idea of perfect, but because this was her idea of someone that can provide her security. I know this video is getting slightly more detailed, but I just really want you guys to understand this. So the first thing that we worked on was her inner child issues. We started focusing on her self concept. How self concept work goes is that this was a long journey. So this is something that a lot of clients ask me, is that, Karan, in your video you said that with this client you worked on this and this, but you have just given me this routine and we are just focusing on these things for a pretty long time. Why is that? Because that journey in this video, because I'm explaining it in a 10-minute video, I have to rush through it. For her it took time. She spent a good amount of time working on this before moving on to a next topic, before this was cemented. We first started working on these issues through techniques, right? I also sent her daily tasks. She was a part of my 3-month coaching and she renewed. Like, she has been working with me for a while because she likes the support. I think we have been working together for 9 or so months because she likes the support. She likes having me here, and we are now working on money. So as we were working on this, I also sent daily tasks in my regular coaching. So I was sending her tasks, we were working together, we were talking about these things. Eventually she started working on her self concept part, and she was not influenced with her past. One thing that she did was that she took charge of her emotions. She told me that, Karan, I'm going to make sure that I am not going to start playing the parental role in my life moving forward, right? First, we worked on that. Then, eventually, this guy automatically started showing up even while we were doing these things. But what the key was that he wasn't actually coming with the full commitment. He was just coming with hot and cold behavior. He was just asking for some physical intimacy. He was just asking to casually date, but he was not ready to commit. At the start, her boundaries faltered. She went back into this dynamic, and eventually it didn't turn into anything good. Even though I advised her not to do it, it was eventually her choice, right? One thing that people, like any client with me or with any other person, you have to understand that a coach can only guide you. Eventually what you do moving forward from there is your choice, and if you're taking the choice to get into it, you will need to accept that it comes with consequences, good or bad, right? So application plus the knowledge is what gets you results. Neither just knowledge or just application will get you results. After she realized that the hot and cold will not work for her, we focused on her boundaries. Then we focused on her perception of men. After working on all these things, this guy eventually started coming to her and he came and said, I am ready to give you everything that you want. I want to be in a committed relationship with you. And this is where the key is. This girl said, you know what? After working on myself, I don't think I'm fully ready to instantly be with you right now, because the change that you see in me, I want to see the same change in you. And if you want to be with me, I would love to be with you, but you would first have to also work on yourself. This girl, while separating herself, inspired this guy to work on himself. She gave him space to work on his issues without disrespecting her boundaries at all. She didn't get back into the old dynamic, but she just separated herself and let this guy work on himself. And then he can come and he can try his luck. That was her perspective. Eventually, this guy did that. He started getting therapy, he started working with mindset coaches, he started working on his traumas, and eventually came to her as a person who was able to fully be his own masculine, so that this girl can also start for the first time in her life being her feminine side. She could release her feminine energy and was able to be in a position where she allowed that relationship in her life fully. Now they are in a fully full-fledged relationship. Does this mean this girl never has anxiety? Definitely not. Right now her anxiety levels are very high when it comes to her work topic, but this is something we are still working on, and we will eventually get better at this area of our life too. So I hope that this success story inspired you. I hope that this taught you that you don't have to sacrifice your boundaries just to teach another person to treat you right. I hope this also teaches you that you deserve the full thing, you deserve the full commitment, and you shouldn't settle unless and until it comes to you. I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe and share if you liked the video. The link for my one-on-one coaching, my self-help courses, and my free newsletter are in the description box below.